Monday, April 29th, 2024. My first ayahuasca ceremony is in less than 30 minutes. The nerves I had yesterday have subsided. I'm so excited. Thank you, God, for this beautiful gift. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back. This is part 2 of my ayahuasca journey at Rythmia in Costa Rica. All my TikTok friends have been blowing me up about this video, so let's get straight into it. If you haven't seen part 1, you're welcome to go back and watch it, or just stay here. Part 1 was all about preparation leading up to my first night in an ayahuasca ceremony. So in this video, we're going to pick up where we left off. So I'm in Costa Rica at Rythmia, which is set up like a resort. All the guests have their own casita or a shared casita with another guest. I shared mine with my boyfriend. The entire trip is 7 days and there are 4 ceremonies. The first night of ceremony is a Monday and it starts around 5 or 5:30. All the guests are told to meet at the Maloca. This is a sacred space where morning breathwork, yoga, and the ceremonies are held. There were about 84 people in my group, which was considered quite large. The lead shaman, Taito Juanito, was there during my week, so a lot of people came to see him. Also, I really enjoyed having a large group, and I'll explain why later. So we get to the Maloca, and the men and women line up separately. Ladies first. And we're lining up to go into the Maloca and choose our beds. I was told by one of the facilitators that this is to help women feel as comfortable as possible. And it absolutely helped me feel more comfortable. So all the women filed in first, and we were able to choose any of the beds on the far side or the middle of the room. Although I went there with my boyfriend, I absolutely loved being surrounded by women. I felt safe and comfortable. If you watched my last video, you'll remember that you're advised to not sit anywhere near someone that you know. And when I say no, I mean someone you came with. So say I went with my best friend. Separate areas. And this is for your own good. It's to help you focus on your own journey. I'll add a picture of what the Maloca looks like, but basically there's a ton of mattresses and you just pick one. I selected my bed intuitively, and when I laid down and looked up, there was a Sri Yantra. This is a picture of what it looks like. It was the same symbol that my mother gifted to me in the form of a necklace a few years ago. She also wears another sacred geometry symbol that my brother gave to her. So when I laid down, I was like, oh, thank God, my mom's here. Okay, we're off to a good start. Just so you can really get a feel for this whole experience, I'm going to show you how the Maloca is set up. So you have the women on one side, the men on the other side. 2 bathrooms on the men's side, 2 bathrooms on the women's side. When you go outside the Maloca, there are another 2 bathrooms by a fire pit. And all along the perimeter of the Maloca are shamans and their assistants. They sit in the ceremony with us and they take the medicine with us. It may sound a little scary, but it's actually way safer that way. I'll explain later. To my knowledge, there is at least one person in the ceremony who's not on the medicine. Plus, there's an entire medical team and other staff on the property that are not partaking. So it's not like the entire compound is under the influence, just the people in the ceremony. And I believe the one person who's not on the medicine is there in case someone needs to communicate with any medical staff. Before going, I watched the show 9 Perfect Strangers, and in it, Nicole Kidman plays like this very unethical spiritual guru. And there's a part in the show where she's facilitating a healing under the influence of, I don't know, I think it's maybe LSD or something. And she decides to break her own protocol and take the medicine with the people there. So when I kind of heard that the shamans were taking the medicine too, I was like, it's giving Nicole Kidman. But after doing more research and getting proper education, I understood that this is part of the culture with ayahuasca, and this has been the tradition for thousands of years. Real quick, if you're finding any of this helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm working on growing my channel, and when you subscribe, that helps me so much. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. To understand why the shamans take the medicine with you, you have to first understand that ayahuasca operates within a frequency. So when the shamans drink ayahuasca with you, they can better pick up on your energy and help you navigate your journey. And trust me, you might need a little help. Ayahuasca facilitates connection to God, source, love, oneness, whatever you want to call it. So when the shaman drinks it and you drink it, you're all communicating with the same source, the same consciousness. If you're having an issue throughout the ceremony, the shaman and their helpers are in tune with that source and they're better able to help you. There were a few times where I got really overwhelmed and I would go to the closest shaman or the closest assistant. I'd tell them what's going on and they'd know exactly what to do. Sometimes they pulled out the Florida water, they'd fan me, lay hands on me, and sometimes they would just talk me through it. Okay, so I picked my bed. We each had a bucket for puking, a toilet paper roll, not for down there, I mean, unless, but more so I think to kind of just like clean up your face if you You also had a blanket and your cup for drinking ayahuasca. No phones allowed, thank God. You don't want to be texting on ayahuasca. If you think a drunk text is bad, imagine texting on ayahuasca. I've ascended, I'm with God, the octopus is talking to me. People would probably try to lock you up. Also, the no phone thing protects the privacy of other guests. People are at their most vulnerable. Nobody wants to be recorded or think they're being recorded. You're also able to bring your own items into the ceremony, create like a little altar if you want. I brought crystals, an eye mask that they give you, and some other little comfort trinkets. If you saw my Get Ready With Me on TikTok, then you know I also brought an extra pair of underwear, which I did not end up needing. Thank God. Hallelujah. But listen, even if you do end up going on yourself, the staff there is so chill. They will literally go get you new clothes or take you to your room so you can get new clothes. Like, it's not a big deal. And no one will judge you because we're all in the same boat. Like, we're all struggling. No one has time to judge you because we're worried about ourselves. And now it's time for the ceremony to begin. You start out on your mattress. Lay down, get comfortable. The shamans are going to bless the medicine. They sing different songs, play instruments, chant. They're doing their thing. This is the point where I think most people are feeling the most anxious because you're literally just in a dark room and you're hearing music and you're hearing lyrics, maybe in a language you don't understand. I speak a little Spanish, so you know, but the anticipation is definitely there. You can feel it in the room. After they bless the medicine, they call for the first cup, which means everybody come and line up. Men in one line, women in the other. Each night, there was a male and female lead shaman. For the first cup, the men lined up with the male shaman and the women lined up with the woman. I was towards the front of the line because I'm like, let's get this over. Leading up to this, I was told ayahuasca tastes disgusting. So I was imagining the worst possible taste and just hoping and praying I would be able to keep it down. When it was my turn to drink, I drank the whole cup. It tastes like prune juice. I was pleasantly surprised and also very proud of myself. So after you drink, you go back, lay on your mattress, and wait for it to kick in. They want you to lay down so that you don't throw up the medicine. I think moving around too much might make you nauseous, so they're like, lay down, sit still, let it work. I'm laying on my mat with my eye mask. I'm nervous. And I'm not feeling anything. Now, I can count on one hand the amount of times I've thrown up in my adult life. And it's not because I never drank alcohol or anything. It's not something I do. I don't throw up. And when I do, it's so painful. I feel like I'm about to So I close my eyes and I ask the medicine to please be gentle with me. And I heard a voice come and say, my child, I'll always be gentle with you. You're my child. You're my child. And when I heard that, I immediately recognized it as Mother Ayahuasca. Don't ask me how, I just knew. After that, I just laid there. Nothing else eventful happened. I honestly just tried to go to sleep. After you drink the first cup, there's a noble silence. So basically, there's no music, no talking. Not that you're really allowed to talk to any of the other guests anyway. You're not supposed to talk to them ever during the ceremony. You can talk to the shamans or their assistants, but you do not interact with the other guests. Leave people alone. They're on their own journey. You don't know what's going on with them. So I'm laying on the mat trying to get some sleep, and I just hear people start to throw up. And so I'm like, Mother Ayahuasca, don't let this be me, please. You said it wouldn't be me. You said you'd be gentle. So yeah, people are throwing up in their buckets. I kind of get used to the sound. And then finally they call for the second cup. There are 4 experiences that they'll ask you about every time you get in line. And it's to gauge how your night is going so the shaman knows what kind of medicine to give you. I literally don't know how this works or what they're doing back there, but I do know that the information you give the shaman affects the medicine they give you. So the 4 types of experiences you can have on your journey are, and I'm referencing the Rythmia website for this. Number 1, the Pinta, which is all about visions. You may see colors, shapes, patterns, even strange words and languages. Number 2, the Consulta. This is when you experience a download of information and insights, usually through hearing a voice giving you direct answers to your questions. So when I heard Mother Aya's voice come and say, my child, I'll always be gentle with you, that would count as a Consulta. But they get a lot deeper and more involved as well. Number 3 is the nothing or the nada. And this is when you literally experience nothing on your entire journey, the entire night. I don't think any of the 84 people in my group experienced a nada. They say they're very rare. It's also important to note that sometimes the nada is not actually a nada. We were told that the medicine can still be working at a subconscious level that you're just not aware of. And number 4 is the body. Body journey is the one most people are familiar with, and that includes a lot of purging. When you're ingesting ayahuasca, is at a very high frequency. So anything in your body, emotions, beliefs, thought patterns that are at a lower frequency can't coexist with the higher frequency. So you purge them. And purging can come in many forms. It's not just throwing up. Yawns, deep breathings, sighs, pooping, even sweating. So I go up for my second cup, and after I drink it, I am on another planet. I lay there for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then it was literally like a veil was lifted. Mind you, I have on a blindfold, but my eyes are open underneath the blindfold. I start to see sacred geometry, first thing. I'm seeing just patterns, and it's like this information is just being downloaded into my brain. It's going fast, it's so rapid, and I'm literally seeing it. So it's not just a mental image that's in my mind. I actually think I have like a form of aphantasia, or however you say it, where you can't picture mental images. But on the ayahuasca, I was literally seeing these things. It was like I was looking at the fabric of the universe. It was just so much information. I was just in awe. It was unlike anything I've ever experienced or anything I could have ever imagined. I'm going to put on the screen some photos from the movie Prometheus. When we got back from the retreat, my boyfriend was watching it. And when I saw this clip, I was like, that's what I saw. I was able to see Earth and the moon and the planets and how everything moved. I just remember saying to myself over and over, I had no idea. I had no idea. Like most people, I've always known that our human experience is limited, but actually experiencing this and seeing through the veil is a different level of knowing. So I'm laying there going, I had no idea. I had no idea. And my brother comes into my mind and he goes, Colby, I told you. My brother is still very much alive on this planet, thank God. And he's also a student of esoteric wisdom, spirituality, and he's also done an ayahuasca journey. My brother and I are very close. We have a lot of deep conversations, and sometimes there are things he tries to tell me that just don't connect. So in that moment, I feel like his higher self was coming through to be like, I told you. By the way, my brother has an award-winning podcast on Audible called Major Frequency and Major Psychedelic Frequency. So if you're into this kind of thing, check them out. You won't be disappointed. So after the second cup, there's no longer a noble silence. There's music, and the music is so important. The music in these ceremonies is so intentional, and it really guides your journey. I'll talk more about the music in part 3. After the second cup, they don't make an announcement for people to come forward. You kind of just go forward when you feel called. And again, if you go too soon, they'll tell you, just wait a little bit, come back. In total, I had 4 cups that night, which I feel like is a lot. The first night for me was an incredible, loving experience. I did not throw up, but the way that I purged was by going to the bathroom, and I went a lot of times. Going into the ceremony, I was really nervous that I wasn't going to make it to the bathroom, but that never happened. It was completely fine. In addition to my brother's energy coming through, I also connected with some of my loved ones on the other side. And if you know me, you follow me, you know that my dad passed away a few years ago. Me and my dad were like this. If you've ever lost someone that was very close to you, you know I was going through it. I've been going through it the past few years. And without me asking, my dad came through and he was like, look where I am. This is lit. I mean, he didn't say lit, but he was showing me where he was. And it was just so peaceful. There was so much love. It was just, I can't even describe it. It was the most blissful feeling ever. And I said to him, oh, wow, I see why you're here. This is actually really nice. So I talked to my dad and we had a great conversation, and he just told me he was so proud of me, and it was so beautiful. It was such a healing moment for me. I always knew my dad was in a better place, but like that's one of those things that is not really that comforting. Like, where are you? Get back to earth. But after talking to him and seeing where he was and that he was okay, I was like, you know what? This is beautiful. I'm so happy for you. So that was super healing for me. I also talked to my grandmother, who just recently passed about 2 months ago, and she was chilling. She was like, hey girl, how are you? She was with my dad. They were having a great time. One of the things I really loved about the insights from ayahuasca is that I was able to confirm a lot of the information I got. So I talked to a lot of my ancestors, and I was able to call my mom, call my aunt the next day and ask them questions about things. And they were like, how do you know this? You shouldn't know this. Where'd you get this? Of course, my mom knew I was taking ayahuasca, so I explained it to her, but she was genuinely surprised the amount of information I knew, and she confirmed a lot of things for me. And a lot of the downloads I got were things that happened way before I was even alive. So it was super interesting that I was able to tap into that. Speaking of tapping into different energies, I want to be clear that the medicine protects itself. It has boundaries. So you might be thinking, wow, that sounds like a violation. How can you just go into other people's business and learn things about them? But it really doesn't work that way. I was able to get insights about things that directly affected me. So I could go back in my lineage, I could see other choices that ancestors made that had an impact on me. But once I kind of got too far off the path and I was just curious or being nosy, it kind of steered me away and was like, girl, mind your business. The medicine is very intelligent and loving, and it wants you to mind your business because you're there for your own healing and not to be nosy. And the same thing goes for communicating with people on the other side. In my experience, it was still up to that person's higher self or that person's soul if they wanted to commune with you. It's not like I could just summon up anyone. Thankfully, all my loved ones came forward. They were like, hey girl, finally you're here. Let's talk. Actually, one of the first things my dad said to me was, you made it. You're here. I knew you'd be here. So that was cool. And in keeping with the theme of minding your business, not only does the medicine want you to mind your business, but Rythmia encourages you to mind your business. So during the ceremony, I saw a lot of things going on in the peripheral, right? We're all going through it. People are throwing up. People may be screaming. People may be dancing. I was dancing sometimes. People may be crying. I was crying sometimes. So there's a lot going on. The space is huge, though. There's plenty of room. You're not really like in anyone else's space. You can walk outside. You can lay in the hammock. So there's a lot of space to process what you're going through. And you're really encouraged to mind your business and stay in your own journey for a number of reasons. But one, what it looks like on the outside is not necessarily what's going on the inside. So someone may be crying and crying and crying, and you may think, oh my gosh, I have to help them. Leave them alone. You have to leave them alone because they may be healing, that you don't know what's going on the inside. It may be something so wonderful, and you going to touch them or talk to them may break them out of that. So you're really encouraged to just mind your business. If you need to talk to someone, there are shamans available, but other than that, the other guests are off limits. Another very important thing when taking ayahuasca or any plant medicine, in my opinion, is to set your intention. Rythmia offers 3 intentions, and throughout the many ceremonies they've held, they found that these 3 intentions really help people get maximum healing. The first one is show me who I've become. The second is merge me back with my soul at all costs. And the third is heal my heart. This video is already a bit long, so I will talk about those intentions in part 3. Okay, so we've covered a lot, but somehow we're still just getting started. In part 3, I will continue discussing my experiences in the ceremonies. There were 4 total. Today we touched on 1. In this video, I gave you a lot of logistical information about navigating the ceremony. The next video, we're just going to jump right into the actual experience. So we'll talk about the aliens or ETs I encountered, the spirit guides I met, like the octopus that I mentioned in my first video, the ancestors I connected with, direct conversations I had with Mother Ayahuasca. And we'll also talk about my breakthroughs. One of the main reasons people come to drink ayahuasca is to heal some type of trauma. And I got to the root of a lot of trauma. I was shown things from my childhood that I completely forgot about. I was shown different past lives and different things that occurred that were affecting me in this lifetime. Also, I had to face my biggest fears, and it was terrifying, but I made it. If you're still with me, I love you. I appreciate you. And stick around because it's going to get crazier. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. I'm really trying to grow my channel, and that would be greatly appreciated. I love you. Thank you for watching. See you soon.